Our reality is that in some areas, we have more equipment, facilities, and staffing than it is necessary to process the volume. We must make some very significant adjustments to reduce our costs and to manage the new volume. In order to be more efficient, our plans are to reduce the excess capacity in our mail processing operations. We can only do that by combining the volume and making better use of our employees, our equipment, and our facilities. This is how the area mail processing helps us. Consolidating mail processing operations provides many benefits. By combining volumes together at one office, we maximize our resources. We can better use of our people, our equipment, our facilities, and our transportation. It allows us to take advantage of automated capacities and the economics of scale. Each consolidation is unique, and each provides us with savings by reducing redundancies in our mail processing operations. They all reduce our overall cost. The changes brought about by the AMPs are intended to have minimal impact by customer services. In most cases, business mail entry, retail, and delivery operations are expected to remain the same. AMPs are mostly transparent to you. Our mailing process activities occur in automated plants while most of you are sleeping. AMP supports our strategic plans such as our network plan, which was submitted to Congress and approved. Our consolidation activities support the critical role of protecting our ability to provide quality service to every community. In 2008, the AMP process guidelines were updated and reviewed by the Office of the Inspector General, the OIG. The OIG validated our process and said that it was credible and sound. The OIG has performed several recent audits on AMP consolidation, and everyone showed that we made good business decisions by consolidating the operations. A June 2010 Government Accounting Office report to Congress stated that we consistently follow the process when performing AMP consolidations. At this time, I'd like to have Steve, the Senior Plant Manager, come up and talk about service standards.
Thank you, Karen. I'd like to spend a few minutes and try to address some of the concerns that I know that many of you have. When we announced the start of this study, we asked that you provide comments and concerns, and I'd like to talk about some of those. The first one is service standards. Service standards is the time that we expect to take for mail of a certain class to reach a specific destination. We have overnight service standards, we have 2-day service standards, we have 3-day service standards. I've seen the signs, I've read the things in the paper, I've read the emails, the articles. The service for Oshkosh overnight is not going to change. Oshkosh to Oshkosh will remain overnight. Oshkosh to Green Bay will remain overnight. Green Bay to Oshkosh will remain overnight. Now, with that said, there will be some service impacts. There is one proposed service degradation, and that is Oshkosh to Portage, zip codes 539, which is now overnight, would move to 2-day. On the positive side, mail from Green Bay going to Milwaukee suburbs and to Madison, which is currently not overnight, will become overnight. So there is actually the service degradation for the 539 zip codes. It's roughly 4,000 pieces of mail a day. The upgrades is roughly 19,000 pieces of mail a day. So the AMP, if it moves forward, actually sees a service improvement of around 15,000 pieces per day. There's a perception that AMPs may delay the delivery of the time of day you get your mail at your house. That's just simply not true. Now, this company is obviously, as Karen said, and is experiencing historic declines in volume. So we're constantly looking at adjusting our city routes. So as those routes adjust, maybe the time of day you get your mail at your home changes, but it's not because of the AMP. We are still obligated to collect that mail, process that mail as timely as we do right now, and get it back to get delivered at the same time each day. Retail and post office box services at Oshkosh will not change at this time. There is a post office box and retail windows at the Oshkosh main post office right now. That doesn't change under the AMP proposal. I know many of you are postal employees in here, and jobs is a major concern. Throughout our history as a company, we've been very responsible about keeping people employed. We have not had to lay people off. We're going to continue to strive to do that. Yes, many of you will have your jobs changed. Some of you may have to move. Some of you may have to change crafts. We understand that. We will work through our contracts with our elected union representatives to make that impact as minimal as we possibly can. The Oshkosh postmark is still available, and no changes are required for business mail imprinted by postage meter, and no changes to permit indicia mail. This next slide, and I'm going to turn away every once in a while because I think this is an important slide, and I'm going to try to explain the AMP process just a little bit better. There's two different colors up here, and they're different on my paper than they are on the screen, but the one in the lower left, the light green, is Oshkosh, and that's anything with zip codes 549. And then the one in the upper right is the Green Bay, and that's the area serviced by the plant in Green Bay. At the present time, Oshkosh and the Green Bay plants are basically identical. If you mail a card, a letter, a flat, or a parcel in that light green area, and you live in a 549 zip code, that mail goes to the Oshkosh plant to get processed. The same process occurs in Green Bay if you live in zip codes 541, 542, or 543. What Karen said earlier about the declining mail volume is, in the economy of scale, the machines that we have in Green Bay and Oshkosh are not being used to their fullest capacity, nor are our employees. So as our volume continues to decline and we look to become efficient as a company, we look for ways to consolidate. In this case, what we're proposing to do is consolidate two plants into one and have one plant service both areas. And obviously that makes us more efficient. Now, I know from talking to some of you, and again, reading some of the newspaper articles and watching some of the other things, the question that comes up here every time is, well, why are you not looking at consolidating Green Bay into Oshkosh? Why are you just looking at Oshkosh into Green Bay? And it's strictly a geography issue. If you look at the proposed service area right now, there's two service areas on that map. Under the current AMP proposal, it's going to move to one, and everything's going to be processed in Green Bay. And if you look at trying to distribute that mail in the morning back to the delivery units, you want to do that from the most central location. I'll give you an example. Right now, if it's a card or a letter and it's mailed in Green Bay, the farthest destination that Green Bay has to deliver mail to is to Florence, Wisconsin. It's roughly 112 miles away. If we move the processing to Oshkosh, you add on 55 miles. It's 160 some miles a day. Currently, Florence gets their mail at 20 to 9 in the morning. If we add on another hour, it's almost 10 o'clock in the morning before they get their mail. That's unacceptable. We can't do that. At that point, service becomes degraded. That's why the proposal is to look at Oshkosh into Green Bay. Next slide, please. Why are we considering this? It makes good business sense. This company lost $8.5 billion last year. The proposed consolidation that we're talking about is estimated to save $4.6 million. Our high-speed canceling equipment in Oshkosh doesn't have the mail volume to keep it running at near capacity. Green Bay can absorb some of this volume. The study also improves the efficiency of our maintenance operations. More machines, fewer locations, reduces costs, and we keep less spare parts on hand. It's our goal to maintain existing levels of delivery service to your homes and businesses. We will continue to deliver your mail at the same time each day. We are committed to continue to provide the levels of service you now receive at your retail windows. That means that the post office lobby hours will remain the same, and service available to you will not change because of the AMP. The majority of the mail you receive today is from business mailers and is either metered or permit imprinted indicia. Those don't change. The hours of operation for bulk mail unit will change. This is typically local mailings from your schools, places of worship, utility companies. In order to provide the service you expect, we will need to change the time that the bulk mail acceptance unit in Oshkosh is open. Drop shipments will no longer be dropped in Oshkosh, they would be dropped in Green Bay, but again, you would see the same level of service that you see if it was dropped in Oshkosh. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Karen.
In most consolidations, employees are impacted, and oftentimes they have to change jobs, hours, or work locations. The study shows a projected net reduction of 54 positions. Every attempt will be made to place these employees in other jobs within our district. All reassignments will be made in accordance with the agreements that we have with our unions. To sum it all up, AMP is about reducing costs and improving efficiencies. Any business will work to reduce costs and effectively manage their resource. We believe that this AMP proposal is one of the solutions to manage our changing environment. It's transparent to our customers, and it supports our strategic plan. We'll be happy now to address questions and comments, and our last slide will provide an address to mail additional comments to. Jim, I'll turn it over to you.
Karen, and thank you, Steve. And thanks to the audience for your attention. Before we open it up for comments and questions, I would just like to go over the ground rules so that to give everyone a chance to speak. First, please use the microphone that's set up in the center aisle. Also, we'd appreciate if you'd state your name and your business affiliation before you speak. And an example of a business affiliation is it could be a residential customer, you could be a business customer, you could be a postal employee, you could be a union official, an elected official, or you could be a postal retiree. We'd ask that you try to keep your questions to about 2 minutes or less. Again, this will help the panel answer questions from everybody and allow us to finish the meeting at the scheduled 9 p.m. time. If you have, if you go over 2 minutes and have a few more questions, we'll cut you a little slack. Also, if you wish to submit a question in writing, or if we run out of time before everyone has had a chance to speak, we will have index cards in the back. You can use them to put a question on, and if you leave your mailing or email address, we will get that to you with the response within 30 days. And just hand someone to the staff before we leave. And I guess let's let the questions begin, and whoever would like to ask the first question, please step up.
Barbara Marine from Oshkosh, in retired community. What are the present number of employees in the Green Bay district and the present number of employees for the post office in this district?
Oshkosh is roughly 140. Green Bay, I will get you a number very shortly here. It's about 10 more, I believe. Not a little bit more, about 185.
Good evening. I'm Carol Nimke, and I am representing